Hey everybody, it's Johnny Two-Face here, back with another reaction video. This time I'm reacting to Napoleon's first campaign for the Austrian Empire Strikes Back 1796 by PMF Productions. Now, I've patiently been waiting for this next episode about Napoleon's first campaign. So, to put long story short, this is a channel that's been inspired by Epic History TV to show about the Napoleon's earlier campaigns, and PMF Productions has done a good job as far as I can see, and this is like, you know, talking about the, you know, Napoleon's career before the siege of Toulon. So yeah, anyway, the usual disclaimer when I react to anything historical: if I don't show so much what is considered a proper reaction, it's probably obvious I don't know much about the subject at hand, and if I do know anything, I'll most likely pause the video to give my input or ask any curious questions, which hopefully will be answered in the comments below. With that being said, the link to the original video will be in the description down below. Please go and subscribe to PMF Productions, check out their channel, and please support them as best they can. And yeah, that's not much more I can say, so let's get this up on screen and let's not waste more time and see what happens in this. I do love these intro screens. Advanced and raise the siege of Mantua.
In the final days of July 1796, a crisis is looming for French General Napoleon Bonaparte. Despite 3 months of victorious battles and triumphant advances, his army of Italy finds itself paralyzed around the unyielding fortress of Mantua. Unable to bypass its large garrison, the French have invested nearly 2 months of effort trying to force the city's capitulation. But the garrison defiantly holds out, trusting in the arrival of outside aid, which is rapidly approaching. A revived Austrian army of 49,000 men has been gathering in the Tyrol under a newly appointed commander, General Dagobert Sigmund von Wurmser. With 40 years of military experience, the 72-year-old former cavalryman is far more aggressive than his predecessor, General Beaulieu, and has brought with him 25,000 veteran reinforcements from his old command in Germany. He has been ordered to relieve Mantua at any cost, and reverse the string of defeats incurred by the young Corsican upstart. Bonaparte must now defend against 60,000 troops in the region, while his own army numbers only around 40,000. Furthermore, he must dedicate over a third of his men to besieging Mantua and protecting his long, vulnerable supply lines. What's worse, he has no idea where Wurmser will strike. The general who has accomplished so much using rapid movements and bold offensives can do little but await the impending attack.
Wurmser's first advance. I'm glad to hear the very respectable state of the Austrian army, which I have fullest confidence will effectively overcome any obstacle. John Trevor, British Minister of Turin.
In contrast to his predecessor, Wurmser formulates a bold and aggressive plan. His army is to advance in 4 columns. General Kwasdanovich will lead 18,000 men of the first column over the mountains west of Lake Garda and seize Brescia, cutting the French supply lines and blockading their path of retreat. The main force, consisting of the second and third columns, under Wurmser's direct command, will advance down the Adige River Valley, overcome any French resistance, and move to relieve Mantua. Finally, the fourth column, under General Misarosh, is to move towards Vicenza and draw French units away from Wurmser's main army. If executed correctly, the French army will be crushed between the jaws of the converging Austrian columns. At 3 a.m. on the 29th of July, Wurmser's army surges forward across a wide front. In the center, Generals Melas, Sabotendorf, and Davidovich march down the Adige Valley towards Massena's heavily outnumbered division. One of Melas's divisions ascends Mount Baldo, driving back the French and taking 600 prisoners. Meanwhile, Sabotendorf assaults Brentino, where 900 French defenders resist bravely until they are outflanked by Davidovich and forced to surrender. By late in the afternoon, Wurmser unites his central columns and captures Rivoli, the last French stronghold in the valley. Alarmed by these developments, Bonaparte moves forward his headquarters from Brescia to Castelnuovo and orders up Augereau, Kilmaine, and Despinois to reinforce the beleaguered Massena. Bonaparte hopes to make a stand south of Rivoli, but he has severely underestimated the threat of Kwasdanovich. With fewer than 5,000 men, French General Sarre is outnumbered more than 3-1 west of Lake Garda, and oblivious to the Austrian advance. Early on July 29th, Kwasdanovich's lead brigade under General Ott emerges from the mountains and assaults the village of Salo. In fierce fighting, the village changes hands 3 times before Sarre is forced to retreat with the loss of 500 men. Worse still, a battalion under General Guillou is cut off during the retreat and besieged in a large villa outside the town. The following day, Kwasdanovich presses forward as the French suffer increasing confusion and disorder. At Brescia, the French garrison is completely unaware of the Austrian approach. When General Klenau's brigade launches a sudden attack on the city, the defenders are caught by surprise, losing 700 men, 30 officers, and nearly 2,000 sick and wounded soldiers recovering in the nearby army hospital. Among those captured are Laon and Murat. The entire left flank of Bonaparte's army is in disarray, and his center has been battered. In less than 2 days, the French have lost over 5,000 men, more than 12% of the army of Italy. With his forces in retreat, key officers captured, and his line of communications cut, Bonaparte's situation is dire.
In the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. Sun Tzu.
In spite of the heavy setbacks, General Bonaparte remains resolute, and the morale of his army unshaken. Moreover, he now has a clear picture of the Austrian dispositions, and quickly sees the flaw in Wurmser's strategy. Although the Austrians have a substantial advantage in numbers, their forces are split, and too widely separated to support each other. Bonaparte now devises one of the most audacious and daring strategies of the entire campaign. Despite the time and effort invested, he makes the difficult decision to abandon the siege of Mantua, and concentrate all his forces to first destroy Kwasdanovich, and then deal with Wurmser. Through forced marches and moving by interior lines, Bonaparte seeks to obtain a local superiority against each of the Austrian armies. While brilliant in concept,
So basically, his famous divide and conquer.
it is also a desperate gamble. If he should fail, the result would be disastrous. Around 3 a.m. on the 31st of July, he reluctantly orders the siege to be lifted. Now free to concentrate his forces, he marches west with 30,000 men to confront the Austrian first column. By now, Kwasdanovich has gathered the bulk of his forces around Monte Chiaro, with General Ott's advance guard having just expelled the French from Lonato. But as Ott begins a pursuit, he runs into Massena's vanguard and is driven back to the town. As more French units arrive, Bonaparte orders an assault to recapture Lonato. Ott resists stubbornly, but is no match for the unexpected strength of the French. He is soon outflanked and forced to retreat. Meanwhile, General Sarre reorganizes his men and marches back to Salo. In a surprise dawn attack, with support from the besieged garrison led by Guillou, the French retake the town, sending the Austrians reeling back. Kwasdanovich had hoped to continue his push forward, but shocked by the size of the approaching enemy army, and fearful that his own line of communication will be cut, he decides to fall back on Gavardo. Sarre, having freed Guillou's brave men, believes that his position at Salo is exposed, and decides to pull back ahead of the inevitable counterattack. On August 1st, with the Austrian right wing in retreat, Bonaparte shifts his attention westwards in an effort to re-establish his broken supply lines. Klenau's small force is no match for 3 French divisions, and Brescia is retaken by midday, along with most of the captured French supplies and prisoners. On August 2nd, Bonaparte prepares for a renewed attack against the heavily outnumbered Kwasdanovich. However, less than 30 kilometers to the east, the situation is quickly deteriorating for the French.
The worst calamities that befall an army arise from hesitation.
On the morning of August 1st, the defenders of Mantua awaken to an unexpected silence. To their astonishment, the siege lines have been completely abandoned, along with vast quantities of supplies and 177 siege guns. Emboldened by the departure of the French and Wurmser's imminent arrival, D'Erlay wastes no time in ordering a pursuit. His men eventually encounter Serurier's rearguard, where they take nearly 800 prisoners. Advancing south from Rivoli, Wurmser drives back Massena's rearguard and surrounds a small garrison in Peschiera. But at this critical moment, the old general is misinformed. He is aware that enemy columns are marching west, towards Brescia, but he is also told that a large French force is massing at Roverbella. Refusing to believe that Bonaparte would simply give up Mantua without a fight, he chooses to march south, thereby abandoning Kwasdanovich to his fate. In less than 24 hours, Wurmser realizes that the reports of an enemy army massing at Roverbella are inaccurate. He redirects his forces to cross the Mincio and advance towards the Austrian first column. However, the time wasted marching south and the leisurely pace of the redeployment leaves the bulk of the army too far from Kwasdanovich. By August 2nd, only General Liptay's advance guard has crossed the Mincio. Despite his isolation, the general presses forward to Castiglione. There, he encounters a French demi-brigade under General Valette, who panics and flees, leaving half of his force behind, which is driven back. After redirecting his army's movements, Wurmser compounds his lack of urgency by leaving it to visit Mantua. Upon his arrival, he is hailed as the city's hero, surrounded by cheering crowds wherever he goes. From his perspective, the primary objective of the campaign has been achieved, and the enemy army is in retreat. But contrary to his belief, the French are far from defeated. Bonaparte now has his opportunity to crush Kwasdanovich. As the sun sets on August 2nd, he issues orders to Dallemagne, Despinois, and Guillou to attack the enemy from 3 directions. Though the fate of the campaign remains uncertain, Bonaparte is determined. After sacrificing Mantua and suffering heavy losses against the Austrians, his opportunity to strike back has finally arrived.
And that'll do it. This has been another interesting video about this Napoleon's early career, and there's not really much I can add to that. So if you like this reaction, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.